Hello and welcome from the Gaylord National just outside Washington, D.C. It is a tremendous day and a beautiful day here in Maryland as we get ready for this special expanded edition of Stinchfield as we give you live CPAC coverage all morning. We will be talking about Donald Trump because he will be here speaking at 10 o'clock this morning. And then, of course, our coverage will lead up to Wayne LaPierre's speech, the executive director and CEO of the NRA, who will address this very, very excited crowd here as this CPAC convention is very different from last year. There is an air of excitement here. There is an air of hopefulness as we look forward towards the future. With all of that said, though, security is tight, as it should be for any time a president comes in and speaks. Now, I will say they have it much better this morning than they did yesterday when they cleared off the entire broadcast row. Now, imagine this. There were people in the middle of radio shows. Cam and Company was in the middle of their radio show. All of them taken off of broadcast row to sweep the area before Mike Pence comes in. Clearly, we want to make sure the vice president and the president are secure. But there was quite a bit of grumbling among the conservative press here about being kicked off of broadcast row. Today, though, the act is together. Secret Service doing a tremendous job out there and getting everybody through in short order. Donald Trump will address a crowd today that is, well, not his base, let's say. He got 15% of the vote. Last time around during a straw poll here at CPAC. This is Ted Cruz's crowd. Ted Cruz spoke yesterday. You saw him here on this program. Donald Trump, though, I am sure will come to a very warm welcome. And here is my prediction. I believe the president will bring down the House. This is an entertainer, a seasoned entertainer, and you better believe he knows what he's doing. And then, of course, as I said, Wayne LaPierre at 1 o'clock, the head of the NRA. Last night, it was a huge day for the NRA, a huge night for gun owners, and a huge night for Chris Cox, the executive director of the National Rifle Association's Institute for Legislative Action. He got a chance to introduce Mike Pence, and the significance of this cannot be understated. When you think a leader from the NRA is coming to an event like this and introing the vice president, and now the access and ear that not just the leaders of the NRA have, because remember, they are your voices, the 5 million members. You, the 5 million members of the NRA, now have the ear of the president and the vice president. Let's take a look at Chris Cox introducing Mike Pence last night.
How's everybody doing? Everybody having a good time? Let me ask you a question. How many of you came to CPAC last year? That's great. Now, how many of you remember what happened 6 days before CPAC started last year? It was February 16th, and American freedom suffered a devastating loss when Justice Scalia unexpectedly passed away. That day, the stakes of the 2016 elections fundamentally changed. This was no longer a fight for the next 4 years. This was going to be a fight for the next 40 years. As you all remember, the Republican primary was still, let's just say, interesting. But we knew Hillary Clinton was either going to win or steal the Democrat nomination. and we knew exactly what Hillary's Supreme Court would look like. For those of us who support the Second Amendment, we knew our gun rights would be gone. Our right to keep and bear arms survived the Supreme Court by just one vote, and he had just passed away. Think about that. The court said we have a right to keep a gun in our homes to protect ourselves if, God forbid, some criminal breaks in and wants to murder us. That's it. That's all they said. But Hillary's view? She said it was a terrible decision, that the Supreme Court was wrong on the Second Amendment. So we decided that freedom could not afford for us to wait. The NRA hasn't backed down from a fight in 146 years, and we sure as hell weren't scared of Hillary Clinton. So we made the earliest endorsement in our history when we endorsed Donald Trump for president in May. You're happy now, but let me tell you, it was a lonely summer. We were criticized. We were ridiculed by the mainstream media. And you know what? We didn't care, and we didn't flinch. We spent more human resources and more financial resources than ever before. We were going door to door and running TV ads when no other group in America was fighting, because NRA members knew the soul of our country was at stake. It wasn't an easy ride, but there were moments last year when you knew we could win. When Hillary turned her back on law enforcement, you knew Americans across this country weren't with her. When she embraced an open borders philosophy that favored sanctuary cities over the rule of law, you knew in your heart it was wrong. And when she said you were all deplorable, and even worse, irredeemable, you thought maybe this time we the people would fight back. And Donald Trump did just that. Sanctuary cities? No thanks. I'll take a wall. Turn our backs on law enforcement? Absolutely not. They deserve our respect and our thanks, just like the brave men and women in the military. And while CNN serenaded Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump's fingers got to talking on Twitter. But for all the moments when you felt like we had a chance, you know what that moment was for me? When I knew we could win? The moment Donald Trump picked Mike Pence to serve as his running mate. I have the honor tonight of introducing and presenting an award to the Vice President, and I couldn't be more proud to do so. The Charlton Heston Courage Under Fire Award is the highest award presented at CPAC. It's not presented annually. It's only given when a worthy recipient is a parent. It is designated to recognize individuals who have demonstrated courage, strength of character, and backbone in defending conservative values and principles. The award is a flintlock rifle. It's what the mainstream media calls a high-powered weapon of war, so we left it out back. But in reality, it represents the strength of American freedom, and so does this year's award winner. Throughout his life, Mike Pence has stood on faith and stood on principle. He remains grateful for the grace of God, the love and support of his family, and the blessings of liberty that are every American's birthright. That sums up the man, and I can't think of a better recipient of this award. Ladies and gentlemen, the 48th Vice President of the United States and his wife, Karen, Mike Pence.
Well, that was Chris Cox, the executive director of the NRA's Institute for Legislative Action, gave a tremendous speech. You know, the best line of the night was the flintlock rifle being a weapon of war. That's what the mainstream media thinks. And he adds a little humor in there. And what a great leader for gun owners everywhere in Chris Cox. I mean, you rest assured that he is battling, and there are still forces at play here in Washington, and Chris Cox is leading a tremendous team in Washington to stick up for all of your rights out there. I want to bring in Bill Whittle, our NRA contributor. Bill, great to see you again this morning.
Well, we didn't actually leave, Grant. We've been here all night basically producing more content.
That's right. It's been nonstop preparation.
Pretty much. We're on day 4 now. No, it's great to be back. And that was a tremendous introduction. And you know, he really got to the heart of the thing. It's like, I don't know why people can't understand this. Mao Zedong said that power comes from the barrel of a gun. And he's right. That's the ultimate political power, is the ability to tell somebody to do something or else you're going to kill them. And that's why the founders understood, long before this communist came to power and murdered 50 million people, they understood that power comes from the barrel of a gun, and therefore the ultimate power in the country is going to remain in the individual citizens of the United States and not in the federal government or the state government.
You know what I love?